doesn't feel honest. You're absolutely everything that I wanted. But what if it gets too much?
Today on Underground Radar, we're spotlighting a rising star whose sounds feels both intimate and cinematic. Lila Holler is a singer-songwriter bridging the worlds of indie pop and alt folk, known for her reflective lyrics and atmospheric melodies that linger long after the last note. Originally trained at Interlochen Art Academy in Michigan, Lila later honed her craft between the US and the UK, studying music in Boston and now creating abroad in Liverpool. Her 2023 EP, Worth It Soon, introduced listeners to her haunting blend of vulnerability and control, with standout lyrics like Up and Out and Not Mad, capturing the ache of growing up, letting go, and finding home within yourself. Her sound draws inspiration from artists like Phoebe Bridgers, the Marias, and FKA Twigs, yet remains distinctly her own, soft-spoken but sharp, nostalgic yet forward-leaning. We're excited to welcome Lila Holler to talk about her journey so far, her creative process, and what's next in her evolving story. Welcome.
Yay!
Welcome. So how's it going?
Really good. How are you?
We're doing well.
That's awesome.
So you've lived in a lot of places. It sounds like you split your time now between the US and the UK. How has being nomadic and transatlantic shaped your sound, your writing, and your identity as an artist?
I'm really tired. I feel like I kind of haven't stopped moving for a while, but I landed in the UK and I'm happy here. We're doing school in the UK. It was a crazy choice, but I think after COVID, which is sort of when I started developing my songwriting, because I was trapped inside for so long, I was kind of like, I'm just gonna go places and like do things because why not? And I think definitely I've been able to meet so many different kinds of people and see so many different, like mostly parts of America. Like my family and I lived on the East Coast, West Coast, all the way north you could possibly get, south, like lots of different places in America. And yeah, just meeting a bunch of different people and being able to sort of like shape my songwriting around that, especially like at Interlochen because I was around a like bunch of different creatives. They had like visual arts and lots of medias and all sorts. So I think I really honed in my songwriting there and was able to collaborate with like film students and like write for other people, write for myself, be in bands, try new things. I like played glockenspiel on stage once, like just do a bunch of sort of weird experiences. Yeah. So I think that I wouldn't trade being nomadic per se for anything else because I feel like it really has shaped me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think Alana, you kind of can not maybe transatlantic, but I think you can relate with the like being nomadic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like when you're exposed to different environments like that, it almost lends itself to just different kinds of inspiration and being immersed among. I split my time between Orlando, Florida, and then Portland, Maine, where I'm from. So both in the US, but just even being around like different climates, sceneries. I think, especially being an artistic, creative person myself, I'm always pulling on inspiration from like whatever
Totally.
my environment is. So what you're saying completely resonates. Who would you say is an influence you haven't talked about much publicly? Someone maybe underrated, unexpected, or from outside of your genre?
It's sort of, I have one that's just now popping up for me because I sort of just discovered her. But there's an artist called Julia Wolf. I feel like she's pretty up and coming. She had a song on TikTok, which is actually how I ended up discovering her. And she makes, I guess you'd call it alternative, but her lyrics almost sound like they should be a pop song. And I find that really inspirational, like, because I think lyrics will always be the most important part of music for me. Like, even when I'm listening to other people, it's just the first thing I digest always. Her really experimenting with like an alternative sound and then doing these like sort of pop structured songs around it has been really inspirational to me recently. I would also say like I always talk about Taylor Swift, but she just is the biggest inspiration that I have because I think that my mom might have started listening to her first album the year I was born. And like
wow.
she's just always been a part of my life and my like songwriting journey. So definitely her, even though that's what I talk about literally every chance I can get because it's always on my mind.
I bet you're
I would
enjoying the
say
new album then, huh?
I know, dude. I'm like freaking out still listening to everything. I don't think I fully processed it yet, but I'm almost there.
You studied at Interlochen in Michigan, which that's where I'm from actually. So
No way. What part?
I'm up in Waterford, but I was originally from Troy, lived in Rochester for a long time,
No
all
way.
over Metro Detroit, basically. So you studied there for the singer-songwriter program. What was one lesson or insight that from there that still underpins how you make music today?
Good question. I think learning that it's not a competition, especially being around so many creative people, and learning that there's enough room for everyone in the music industry, in music. Like, you don't have to compare yourself to people. It's not good to be like other people. You need to be your own and try to find what's unique to you, try to find your unique sounds, what makes your songwriting different, because those are the things that's going to create success for you. And everybody's different, everyone has a different story, and there's space, there's a different fan base for what I'm doing to somebody who's doing something even really similar to me, because there are the sort of minuscule differences that attract people to your music. And I think learning that, because I had sort of a, if I'm being completely honest, like a jealous mindset about it before I went to Interlochen. But seeing how powerful it can be when creatives uplift each other rather than pitting each other sort of against one another was a very eye-opening lesson I had from Interlochen, where I was able to just be like, oh, like there's no point. Like I should just uplift everyone around me, because there's putting them down doesn't do anything. And the same to other people with me, like there's no point. So I think that that's like probably the biggest takeaway I had.
That's great. Can you walk us through like a typical experience of recording, writing a song from kind of inception to full production? Are there any challenges you face?
Yeah, I it's sort of changing for me right now, actually. I'm working on a new project, but for the way I am now, I'll focus on that. I write most of my songs alone. I think that's
Mhm.
when I can really like, I feel like I can really sort of like unzip my skin and kind of let it out. So I wrote The Way I Am Now in my bedroom last year, like just on my bed. And I had this like pit in my stomach, and I knew that I needed to get it out. And so often picking up my guitar and just like mindlessly babbling with it helps me to sort of like get those emotions across. So I sat down, I put it in like a weird tuning, and then I just like sang stuff over and tried different melodies out. And I ended up writing the choruses first, and then the verses, and then the bridge. And then within like 30 minutes, I probably had the whole song, which is how I know that it's going to be a good one, I think. It's so rare that that happens to me, but when it does, it's like, okay, like we've captured something here. And then I have my collaborator. She's in North Carolina. Her name is Jessica Taylor. And she sort of helps me with the arrangements for the song. So I made a demo with all of the vocals, backing vocals, everything in that realm, some double track guitars. And then I sent those off to Jessica, and she refined everything, added an arrangement, some like more content to it. And we sent it back a few times to sort of just like try different things out. And then when we were both satisfied with the outcome, she went ahead and mixed and mastered that herself as well. And so I'm leaning now into working in studios and trying that approach, because doing a long distance situation is really great because Jessica's so like phenomenally talented, but also I do want to be more hands-on with the production. And so I'm leaning into that, but for the way I am now, I think that it I was like really satisfied with everything we were able to do virtually.
You said that you like doing things virtual sometimes, but like also in person. Like, what is your process? Like, how does it differ, I guess, when it's like virtual versus like in person?
When it's virtual, I think that the one thing that is like a holdback is that I can't immediately get an idea out. I'm like very ADHD also.
Sure.
So my ideas a lot of the time are fleeting and I like need to kind of spit it out, or like it's the electricity of that moment is kind of lost. It does exist in like some capacity when working virtually, because I'm able to say like she'll send it to me and I'm not there to micromanage it. So she's adding ideas that I would never have thought to do but love. Or like if she started to maybe do it, I would maybe be like, no, let's not do that. But hearing it fully fledged out, it's like, oh, that's genius. So
Mhm.
there's pros and cons to each. Like, I think that it's just about my level of involvement, and like you do have more control when you're in the room and you're able to call the shots and give your immediate opinion on things. And that can sometimes be the biggest blessing, because sometimes my ideas are like great because I know the song better than anyone. But sometimes that's also like something that can hold me back. So I think it's about finding the balance. And I think that balance exists both like in person in a studio and virtually. A lot of people work virtually and it works for them, and it works really well for me as well. I'm young, so I'm trying to find, and experiment and try as many possible different things as I can to make music.
When you're in the States, what state are you in?
Right now, Seattle. My parents sort of,
Okay.
as you said, like move around a lot,
Mhm.
but I think it will be Seattle for a long time. We're hoping, but yeah, I don't know that I could say that I'm from Seattle though, because I've only been there for like maybe 3 months total, with
Oh,
me going
wow.
back and forth.
Mhm. Do you have your own place then in the UK, or do you?
Yes, I live in my little studio apartment with my little cat, and we're very happy.
Oh, I
Oh,
love it.
I'm
Yeah,
such a
he's
cat
been
person.
walking around over here. He's on the floor.
I just like love hearing you talk about your music. When you write, is it mostly experience? Is it mostly imagination? A mix of both? How do you
It's
balance
such,
that?
yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like to ask me right now too, because I'm just starting to dabble in something different. Like most of the time, it has been like raw experience. This is exactly how I feel. And right now, though, I've been in a long-term relationship for about 2 years, and like I'm starting to feel that and be like, well, I don't have anything new and interesting to say about this situation. And I usually write about love and my life and my feelings and things being complicated, but it's not complicated, and that's good. And like it just feels good and secure. So I have to figure out how to write about other things. And I'm just now sort of leaning towards writing about those same sort of feelings that I'm capturing in my songs, just not my experiences, which has been so fun because I like am unlocking so many different sides of my writing that I've never really encountered before. Because like I started writing when I was like 14, 15, and I had so many like tortured teenage thoughts about things. And like I had so much fuel about like I could make the most minuscule situation into the biggest, craziest, angry song ever. But now it's like I'm thinking more realistically about things. And it's kind of hard to like I don't want to write just a million love songs because I'm deeply in love. I want to find interesting things that nobody's really tapped in on. And I can do that to a certain capacity, but I love songwriting, so I've been able to pull inspiration from like my friends' lives and stories I'm hearing or movies I'm watching, and trying to come up with like new ideas and just let it kind of flow rather than putting the pressure on it to be writing something that I'm gonna release.
I literally love what you say there because fun fact, if you will. I also love writing. I like songwriting. I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but I love writing. And one of the things I do is I actually have like those like picker wheel, spinny wheel things.
Yes, yeah.
I have one that has like 100 just prompts. It's just like
No way.
literal
That is a
words,
great
just like
idea.
any word that you can think of, just as a prompt. And anytime I'm like, I want to write, but I don't know what to write about, I just like spin it and it'll be like echo or like it'll be like reflection. And then I'm like, oh, perfect. Now I have like
Yeah,
a billion ideas. 2 cents. I would recommend doing that because it's
dude,
super
I'm
helpful for like
gonna do
just
that.
literally it's so helpful for just like you're like in that feel of like you want to write, but you don't have like a topic on your mind. And it also kind of pulls out like just random, I don't know, feelings of like past, because I'm in like a stable relationship as well. So I relate to that as well. Like I'm
Yeah,
married. Yeah, me and my husband have been together for like 8 years. So there's not a whole like lot of, chaos there or anything. It's very
exactly.
straightforward. So I like to write about like friend relationships or like, but like, intermix the like love language in there so that it like feels more romantic, even if it's adjacent to romance.
I'm
So
gonna do that. I'm not even
like
joking.
it's a really fun way to do it. So totally recommend.
Amazing.
I love that. At what point in your creative cycle do you feel like a song is done? Or do you ever resist that or sort of resist the letting go of that a bit? Or, you know, it's hard to not be, believe me, I get it, like a perfectionist about your own work, or we can always be just re-editing, redoing, recreating. Do you ever have that feeling where it's like, okay, this one's good. I feel it in my bones. This one's done.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's like the songwriting is when I have that feeling sort of like the most, where all of my songs so far I've written by myself and like written to completion by myself. And I think that sometimes it is a bit jumbled because I start with like I'll do like the bridge first and I'll write something or a melody comes to mind and I'm like, oh, that's not like a verse or a chorus, that's a bridge. So I do that and then I have to like circle back and do all this stuff. But I think that for me, it's when it feels complete. For me, it feels complete when I have everything in place structurally.
Mhm.
I can look at it and it tells the full story. And then for production, like this is hard to explain, but when I hear a fullness to it that sounds like a natural progression and there's height and there's dimension, and when it all feels there, I'm like, all right, let's mix it, master it, and get it off. Like, that's perfect. We're done. But yeah, I think it's really in the structure of the song and like hearing it kind of all together. And if I'm able to play it all the way through without stopping, it's like the song is done. Put the pencil down. We're good.
I love that. I love
Love
that
that. Yeah,
answer.
me too.
What would you say? This is kind of more about challenges, but what would you say is like a misstep or a mistake that you made maybe in your early career, but it's something that taught you and it's you learned from it and like it's something that you still carry forward?
I would say probably putting too much pressure on my songwriting after I started releasing it. I noticed a little bit of momentum with my first EP, and I wasn't expecting that literally at all. Like, I'm not trying to be humble. Like, I was not expecting that. I had no clue what I was doing. I went on YouTube and searched how to make an EP and like use the first links everybody showed me. And I was like just bored one summer and I wanted to do something to do with music because I knew it was what I wanted to pursue. And so when that happened, I wanted to keep feeding people because I got a taste of what I've sort of been waiting for my whole life, which is people engaging with my music. And like people in like countries I don't even didn't even know was a country on Spotify for artists, like looking at things and being like, oh wow, like I'm reaching people, it's crazy, and that's all I've ever wanted. And so I put pressure on the songwriting and I said nothing I did before is good. I need to focus on what I'm doing now. And so I would write a song and then send it off and then produce it and then get it back, put it out, but then I didn't have anything to fall back on. I didn't have anything to work on. I had to take pretty much all of last year. Like my last release before The Way I Am Now was August, I think 2024, 2020, no, 2020, 2023 maybe. I don't know. But it was like a year ago. And I like was just like, I need to make something cohesive. I need to right, and I need to not put any pressure on it because I was scrapping ideas immediately, thinking, no, this wouldn't sound good. Like, I wouldn't put this on Spotify, so I'm not going to even bother to like finish it.
Mhm.
But that really held me back so much. And I had to learn that like it's okay to take time to like sit back and create something that feels cohesive, create something that shows your artistry in the way that you want it to be shown to people. Just let it breathe. And so that's what I've really focused on doing. And in that time, I've been able to write not only this single, but like this whole other project that feels so cohesive and like I'm excited to share. And now I'm working on putting that together in the studio and I'm writing the next thing already. You know what I mean? And learning that lesson has bought me so much time to catch up to myself. And like it's not just about keeping momentum, like my artistry means more than that to me. And I want to make something that will be meaningful to people and that is thoughtful and something where people can recognize that.
Love that answer. As I mentioned, I write songs too, and one of the things that I love to do is like revisit lyrics because your writing grows every time you like pick up the pen or type on the keyboard. And for me, like I have lyrics from like when I was 14, 15 as well. And I have like old notebooks that I like scanned. So I have like all the old lyrics and I typed all of them up. And now I'm like looking at them again with like this new lens as like a 32-year-old. Like some of the writing was a little, premature, immature, whatever you want to call it. But like there were threads, like there was threads of ideas there that
Oh,
like, you can just kind of like repaint with like new colors that you've like your life that you've experienced now. It's just a really fun way to like revisit things. So I highly
yeah.
recommend trying that if you have any old like notebooks, just kind of flipping through them and seeing what like inspires you.
Being young in the music industry can mean underestimation. Have you ever run into moments where you felt doubted or like you just sort of were up against something, and how do you respond internally?
Honestly, all the time. Like, I think that being a young girl and trying to do music seriously, especially like not being like, I'm gonna be the best guitarist in the world and do something that like defies a stereotype. It's like, no, I'm a young woman and I just want to make fun pop music. And people do not take that seriously. And it was hard for me to digest because I take it seriously. I think everything I'm doing, I take incredibly seriously. And like, I know it took a long time to build self belief. And now that I have it, I like don't see any reason why anybody wouldn't see me and take me seriously. But people do all the time. And I think that like it's important to call it out if you can, but also there's this system set up where like a lot of the times you can't because it's somebody who's in a position of power that could give you an opportunity that could change your life. And so I think just trying my best to manufacture situations in my favor and put myself in a position of control. And honestly, I've learned to not be so trusting with people,
Mm,
especially in the music industry. Like, cautious discretion is like rule number one. It's like you just need to approach things with kindness, but also with hesitation, because there are people who don't take you seriously. There are going to be people that try to bring you down. There's going to be all this stuff, especially being a young woman. And like a lot of the time, it's set up so that you can't call it out, and that's what perpetuates it. But I would say, like, call it out when you can. I've definitely like felt it from peers, and that's a situation
mhm.
where I feel more comfortable calling it out and saying like, why this person? I can do this. I'm fully capable of doing whatever. I'm in charge. This is my sort of dream, and I think that's why I'm so attracted to collaborating with women, because I feel like a lot of the time they have a deeper understanding of that feeling. And like I grew up in a very feminine household too. It's like I had my mom and my sister and my dad who's like just the best. And so yeah, I like toxic masculinity, I think is something that I am really like tuned into and I can see kind of immediately and be like, nope, I'm not interested in that. Yeah, so I guess just being cautious and calling it out when you can, but also like understanding that there's going to be situations when you feel like you can't, and like giving yourself the grace because it's not my fault, it's not anyone's fault. It's just how the system is set up.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
big on women supporting women on the soundcheck team. All of the co-founders are women.
Love
Rebecca,
it.
she wasn't able to make it today, but Rebecca's the other co-founder, Alana and me. And then we have, I want to say we have nine-ish photographers, and seven out of the nine are women.
At 7. Yep. Mhm.
So yeah, it's mostly women. And the two men are great. They're the best. But you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
very nice to have that women empowerment on our
of
team. So
course.
in 3 to 5 years, what do you hope people see or think when they hear your sound or your they are in your presence, or what kind of impact do you wish to make?
That's a good question. I think that I was just talking to my manager about this actually, and saying that like even starting small, I want to do fundraising for like the causes that I believe in. And because I think that like let's say a really big celebrity kind of spontaneously speaks out about something that is like polarizing, I think that people are like, whoa, this is a big deal. But when it's somebody who's been consistently speaking out about things, like I think of, not that she's like the epitome of this, but I think of Olivia Rodrigo and like her
Mhm.
fundraising for Planned Parenthood on her tour and stuff. Nobody bats an eye now when she sort of speaks out about something that's important to her because she's ingrained that in what she's doing. And I'm really inspired by that. So I hope that that's people's takeaway because I would feel hypocritical having that criticism about the artists I love. Like, I look at the artists that I love and listen to, and I think of how selfish I would feel being in that position of power and not doing more with it, with the state of the world and politics and everything that's going on. And like, I would just feel icky, I think.
Yeah.
And so even now, like, I'm doing a fundraiser for like my first gig, and it's this really awesome foundation that protects against trans rights. And like, we're doing a raffle. And I think including that stuff now, because I do have this like career plan for myself, I'm hoping to grow so much in the next 3 to 5 years. And I definitely want my beliefs to grow with me because I have a strong sense of who I am and my morals. And I always want to show up in that way so that I can carry that through if I do, like, hopefully end up having the success I've sort of dreamed about.
Love that. Are there any genres or formats of music that you haven't really explored yet or touched yet but want to, like either scoring for films, cinematic, electronic, folk?
Yeah, I would love to do film stuff actually. I think my roommate while I was at Interlochen was a film student. They were like
Oh,
my best
cool.
friend too. And there was somebody who sent me a script and asked to use my songs, and I said yes. I'm not sure like exactly how far along that is, but I said yes. Like, I think that that's something I'd love to do. I'd also love to dabble in a bit of hyperpop, I think. My next project sort of has an alternative sort of like grit to it, even though it is pop music. So yeah, I'd love to maybe try something just a little bit like really leaning into pop, Lila, because I do think since I'm such a fan of popular music, like I could really do it justice. So that's sort of like what I'm working on writing now as I work on this other project.
I
Yeah, I'm a
love
pop
that.
girly too, so I hear that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm such a pop girly, so I totally get it. Well, just kind of wrapping up for fans and followers, what do you hope they take away beyond the surface of your songs? Any lessons, empathy, connection, anything like that?
Yeah, I would say just like as much as people say like have kindness for others, I think have kindness for yourself, especially with this song. Like, it's all about me just going through a mental episode and being in a relationship and just kind of praying that, you know, you'll love me even though this is like at my core who I am. Like, this is the way I am now, and that may never change. Hopefully it does. Hopefully I grow. But I think learning to have kindness for myself has been really hard. I would do things for other people like far before I would do them for myself. So I think that's my takeaway from my music right now. I would say just like have kindness for yourself, treat yourself like well and with respect, and don't talk down to yourself because those things really do affect your psyche and like can really make the difference between having a happy life and a not happy life.
No, they can. And self-love learning, it really can be a practice, and it's not always linear and easy, but it's such an important thread professionally, personally. So any final message for your fans? Anything you want to tease, talk about, share?
Definitely watch out for The Way I Am Now. It's releasing. And then past that, like I've got an upcoming project, hopefully March 2026, that will be like we're doing full visuals, full everything. Like
Oh,
we've got like a year schedule. I have an Excel sheet for the first time, like mapping everything out. So definitely keep your eye out because I'm gonna be
Any touring like coming up?
not yet, but hopefully that's
Keep
all I'll
going.
say.
All right, perfect. Well, if you're
hopefully.
ever in Michigan, you'll have to let us know.
Yes,
Well, let me know.
I
And then
will.
Alana, she's
Yeah,
over in Maine and Florida. So
Orlando.
yeah,
Yeah,
if
we'll
you're
keep our
ever in
eyes
Denver.
peeled. Well,
Yes.
congratulations on all the exciting stuff coming up. That sounds
Thank
awesome.
you so much. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Delilah, for taking the time. It was so nice to chat.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
love all your
Thank
answers. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
My chest getting tired, just knowing that is an option. Cause the thought of you moving on makes me sick, and the thought of somebody else feels so distant.